Right, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we don't need to do a roll call. I will just see Emily and me and Sonia. Okay, we'll see who else pops in. Alex and David. Okay, I'm going to adoption of the agenda. I forgot the expression, but without any objections.
Without objection.
Yes, we will adopt the agenda as is. Okay, communication from the public on non-agenda items. Anybody have any comments they'd like to make before we get started? Nope. Okay. All right. I'm going to let Lynn take over, and then we'll kind of have a little powwow about how we want to present, or how I'd like us to present to Alex Frost at our meeting. And I would want to follow the example that I saw at the Talmadge-Kensington Planning Committee, because I really liked the way David organized that. So, but we can talk about that afterwards.
Okay, so if you don't know, David Modi is also a member of the working group for the Mid-City Community Plan Update. I realize not everyone knows David. I've known David for a few years now. So we really want to have a robust discussion with Alex Frost at the October meeting. And I feel like part of that is, I hope some people did actually go through the ideas document. I think the most important part on that this group needs to talk about are the concepts, the 5 concepts, and where we're going to add density, where we would like to see density in the eastern area, which has the most advantages to us. But I just wanted to start by asking if anyone had any questions about the document that maybe I could answer before we move on to that. Okay. I am keeping a list. I have a pretty long list of questions now. So if someone gets to the meeting and doesn't have any ideas, I do have a few questions I can lob over to you to ask, because I'm only going to be asking one question at the meeting like everyone else. And the rest of them will just go in my comments to Alex before the November 21st deadline. Okay. So I'm going to just share my screen then, and we'll talk about the start up by discussing these. And David, I would feel okay if you wanted to jump in about concept 5, because that is the one that you supported at the last working group meeting. And I know Nam from City Heights sort of is looking at concept 4. Anyway, let me...
Excuse me.
Well, that's the wrong document. Hang on, sorry. Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay. So I've sort of fixated immediately on number 5. We should go through these and just look at where the density is being proposed. Because a lot of my questions come about things like College Grove. Like, I really wonder if College Grove property owners are actually aware that the city's planning this high densities center there. It's an interesting idea. So this first concept, it's a mix of housing options. And the thing that I see about the first 4 concepts is that it aligns the college area land use proposal along El Cajon Boulevard. That's concepts 1 through 4. 5 doesn't do that because it's actually more aggressive density than the first 4 are. So if you look at so we would see a mix of different housing types in single-family neighborhoods. And we would see land use changes. It says at nearly half of the schools, cities, schools, parks, and public facilities. So I didn't see anyone thinking that this one was an idea that we should be talking about. So I looked at concept 2.
Well, then, could I?
Yeah,
do it
absolutely.
If you want
Yep.
to go to the map for number 1,
Yes.
something everyone should understand is that orangey color, which is they're calling low 4, is at a density that triggers complete communities. So even though they give you these examples that are somewhere else in the document about what low 4 might be, in reality, you're opening yourself up to 6 or 7 story buildings.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, how does that differ from what is there now? But it's more dense, is really
Yeah.
the orange, right?
Yeah.
The medium is still more dense. Okay.
Yeah, to me, this one is like, just fill it all up with whatever, however, go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
No consideration for anything other than just producing density, housing density, period.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very high density. And it would be a mix of housing styles. So single family neighborhoods like ours, like all of Eastern area, would see a mix of different housing options.
Mhm. And this
So,
is on single family residence properties, correct?
yeah.
And then they
Mhm.
say as long as it's near transit, of course, then the issue. So say, for example, just so I'm clear on how I'm reading is, say my house, because it's near transit, it has to be within a certain frame, but because it's near transit, then they could decide that they build like a 6-story or, some big thing on my piece of property, correct?
Mm-hmm. Or next door to you. Yeah.
Or next door to me. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure I understood it
Well,
correctly.
should we be more specific about that? It's not just that you're near transit, but it's also because you're near transit and they've upzoned you, then you can get what you've
Okay.
just described.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because at the moment, we're not currently zoned for that sort of thing, but they want to change that.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Just want to make sure I'm understanding clearly.
And then for areas like College Grove Shopping Center, where now they're saying it's an urban transit village. I mean, are we talking about eminent domain here or?
Well, I mean, it's not just the College Grove.
Right, it's
If you look at the
the
other
New
map,
Glen in
if you-
federal area, yeah.
yeah, federal. And I think one of the maps in the study area from 54th to 69th, right there where University Square is, they actually considered that the most promising area for the highest density. Which, again, so well, I think we can move on to number 2 to talk about now. So again, this is plus down here, aligns the college area land use proposal along El Cajon Boulevard. So it will align with the college area plan.
Land use 2 is the first one to introduce the yellow color. I don't see any yellow color though in Eastern area.
Oh, no.
But I think one of the later ones introduces the yellow color and I'll.
Yeah.
And do we have like a legend that tells us what that yellow color represents, or?
I probably did. It's in the document. I could give you the page number, Sonia, afterwards.
Okay.
Okay.
Say, Lynn, this is Alex. I went to the college area community plan update. I think
Mhm.
must have been 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I actually asked the person from the planning department who was presenting whether the south side of El Cajon Boulevard would mirror the north side, because that was the rumor I'd heard from folks on the Mid-City Community Plan update. And
Mhm.
he said no. He said that because the eastern area is its own entity and body, that there will not be any requirement that the south side mirrors the north side. But here it looks like, they're saying, well, it aligns. So I'm not quite sure what that means. But he was pretty adamant that what the college area does on the north side does not necessarily mean that the eastern area, or the mid-city, I should say, has to follow that model at all. So just so you know, and I do think that presentation was recorded, and I asked the question orally, so it wasn't in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. I was late to that meeting. I didn't hear that part. I just find that would be really hard, especially for the college area business improvement district, to not have the same model on both sides of El Cajon.
Yeah. But he was he was pretty adamant about it. Also had to
Really?
do with the fact that they're different communities. In a sense,
Yeah.
it would be sort of undemocratic
Mhm.
for one body to impose its model on on the adjacent body. So, like I said, it was pretty clear that he said no, that there's no requirement that it looks like the north side.
Mhm. Okay. Was that Nathan?
It wasn't Nathan Cosman, it was someone else. I don't remember his name right now. But he was leading the workshop.
Okay. So
And well,
let's
the
look
reason I even mentioned it is because I live in El Cerrito. Uh, between 54th and College is the narrowest part of El Cajon Boulevard, which stretches about 9 or 10 miles. And so they were talking about having one lane of traffic in each direction, and a bike lane and a bus lane. And I commented that, you're going to have real trouble if you do that. You're going to have massive backups. There's already traffic problems in that area, not to mention accidents and all kinds of other things. And getting in and out of the neighborhood would be really difficult. And that the bike lane right now is diverted off El Cajon onto Trojan, I believe. And so, I was saying that that would be much safer for both bicyclists and for people who use their cars, than having them try to get on El Cajon Boulevard and fight, buses and other kind of cars. And again, a one lane in each direction in that stretch of El Cajon Boulevard would be um, pretty awful in terms of planning. So anyway, he took note of that, and we'll see what happens. But I do know that it's very narrow, and right now there's 2 lanes of traffic each direction. I think some parking, but again, it's really narrow in that particular section, much more than either east of College or west of 54th.
right. Okay,
Yeah, let's,
move on.
yeah. Let's move so we can get to our number 5 and really discuss it, because that's seems like the best one for us. And I know that other communities like that too. They have the same
Mhm.
ideas in mind for growth that we do. So
Okay. So I'm
yeah,
gonna move
this
on
one,
to, yeah.
yeah, it's the same thing basically.
Uh, uh,
As-
this one, I mean, going back to a plan from 1984, just, uh, I don't know.
I'd like to make some comments then now about the yellow color.
Mm-hmm.
So when they discussed the yellow color at the working group, Alex said, well, we're just upping the density from 9 to 14 units per acre. It's just a modest increase. And that's true enough, but bonus ADUs gives you 54 units per acre. So why do you have to upzone the RS17 since bonus ADUs have already upzoned it? And so what the real difference is between your your regular single family zoning and the yellow color is the massing of the building that's allowed.
Yeah.
The current massing is 0.6, with most houses being at 0.3 or 0.4. And their proposal would up the massing to 1.3. So it would be double the current allowable maximum and really about triple what you mostly see, or triple or even quintuple what you mostly see around you. So you would get some very sizable, bulky buildings with a 1.3 FAR.
Wow.
This one kind of blows my mind, the whole 1980s thing, because that was before the climate action plan, et cetera, et cetera. I wish I could say I hadn't been born yet, but I was well on my way into adulthood by that time. And yeah, I just don't even get it. Like,
Yeah. I think this one, I mean, multifamily housing options that were allowed in the 1980s, like 40 years ago, 45 years ago. I think if you read the last bullet here, it offers the lowest overall opportunities for new homes, jobs, and businesses within the smart village areas.
yeah.
So I don't.
Out of curiosity, I don't know if anybody knows this, do they do a study to determine or to say to that last bullet shifts more people towards walking, biking, and transit use, right? Have they even did a study when they came to the conclusion that it's best to put it near transit corridors? Or did they just make that decision? I don't know if anybody knows the answer to that. Okay, I'll have to look that up and see. I'm assuming not. They just chose that it should encourage people, but never had like a survey or a study to make that determination that people would switch to being using public transportation.
Yeah.
The only real studies they've ever done have said that when you have to really be within a quarter of a mile before people really
Mhm,
jump on that
Mhm.
transit.
mhm.
Maybe backtracking a little bit, do we have a definition of what the smart village areas are? I'm doing a search in this 177-page document, and it's only mentioned 5 times in these 5 land use concepts.
I think it's up front, Emily. No. Okay.
I mean, I did a search of the entire document, and unless it's under a different name.
It's one of those incredible buzz phrases. It sounds really good, but I think it would be at the beginning if it was there, I would think. But again, this is just ideas,
Yeah.
that
But
would
like,
be
great
good.
idea.
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, what is it? Yeah.
Right.
Sounds really nice, right? I would love a
That
smart village,
Yeah.
sure.
wouldn't be a bad question to propose to Alex.
What does that even mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we see that in the concepts, so can you clarify exactly what that means?
Mm-hmm. So
Especially
there's a question.
climate village, but you want to go back to the 80s?
Right.
That's really easy to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's a question to add to the list.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. So now we come to the last 4 and 5, and I can see from City Heights' perspective, because they're most concerned about not displacing people again after the 15 highway split, but they're also concerned about equity And if you're going to share, if you're going to do new growth, you're going to do it everywhere, which I think, you know, not everyone's going to agree with that. So you see what I say, reintroduces a mix of multifamily housing options everywhere. That means every single family neighborhood. And they say, and here's the other buzz phrase, most equitable. So those are the things that like a member of the working group focused on, because that seems the most fair to him, is that we all are going to share this. All four communities in the mid-city will be sharing equitably, whether you like it or not. But I think he didn't even talk about this fact, which is that it doesn't provide, it's a second lowest opportunity for new homes, jobs, and businesses. And those are the things that would get people out of their cars and working, you know, walking, biking, and taking transit. So I don't, and it would propose changes near all existing schools and public facilities.
I just want to say something. I'm
Yes.
waiting to see when they decide to do that to Mount Soledad. I know what I see is this is ensuring that all of Mid-City is a one income level, and that income level is low.
Yes.
Because once you
Yeah.
become middle income, you do want a little bit higher standard of house to live in. And there will be none of that in Mid-City.
That's right.
Mhm.
So
And no opportunity for people to create it
exactly.
if
Yeah.
they own a property. Right?
Yep. I think that's pretty true. Yes.
It's a developer's bonanza.
It recreates the days of the
There's
Huffman.
bonanza.
Sorry? Yeah.
Which one of us?
You.
It recreates the era of the Huffman. There were two things about the Huffmans that made them bad. One was the front end parking, and the other is that they just popped up randomly anywhere. There was simply no planning involved with them.
Yeah.
And this just allows anything to be built anywhere.
Anywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I think you can see the appeal for some of the City Heights people, or why they would jump on this. Okay, so let's move on to 5. And I think here's why this looks right to me and to someone, because this didn't happen in the last community plan update, where we actually wanted to see the density on University and El Cajon. And that was such a slow growth update that nothing actually happened. So the second thing is that it would not change most of our neighborhoods. That change would be happening along the major corridors. And but this is where the phrase here, more intense than the college area. I think that's a question for Alex. What is more, please define more intense.
I presume higher and taller and more.
Yeah, we presume, but yeah.
One thing I recall, a story I heard from the previous plan update, is that when they were doing the zoning, people were talking about El Cajon Boulevard at the time, and I presume about University, that they were prepared to go higher, and the planner said, "Oh, no, you don't need to." So, okay, people said, "Okay, we won't zone the Boulevard Avenue higher." So, yeah, people all along, I think, were willing to accept higher density on the corridors, and I think there's community consensus behind it.
It just always seems to be sensible to have it along transit corridors where people have access to the transit and to walkable neighborhoods, you know, with services. And that's what's actually missing on University for the most part now.
And so let me ask this question of you guys. I'm not so familiar with, you know, all these, but which one of these fits most, say, University down by La Mesa. La Mesa has put quite a few buildings along University,
Yeah.
all the way up towards you know,
Baltimore?
the end of University that
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
Would we say this land use concept 5 fits more of that, what I've seen on in La Mesa,
With
where it
their,
stays on the University area and along University?
Sonia,
with those like multi-story housing that they've been building.
Yeah, like look like little condo areas.
Mhm.
Sonia,
It even goes down with El Cajon meets, you know,
Sonia,
University.
I'm not so familiar with La Mesa. Could you direct me to a cross street and I'll use Google Maps
Yes.
to kind of.
Uh,
You know what? Let me grab my phone real
El Cajon,
but
El
you- and
Cajon
let-
and Baltimore, I think, is where
even further down. I go towards
Parks. Try
going-
Parks and University, because
there
that's
you
where
go.
that,
Near Parks and University is better.
that's where they're, and you'll see it, it's almost the same at that section of El Cajon too, where they've been establishing what you would call the missing middle, where
Right.
they've been building condos and townhomes, which are perfect for first-time buyers.
Could you
yeah,
give me a
but
couple
there's
more?
a
Yeah,
Could you give me
I'm
a
gonna
couple more? Could you give me a couple more cross streets because I'm not finding it?
yeah, there's
I'm
there's a
going
giant
to see
apartment
if I can get a
building where El
Google.
Cajon Boulevard merges
Yeah.
into the 8, right? Where you go to La Mesa,
Uh-huh.
and on the right,
Mhm.
and I think it's Baltimore going south, and it might be
Oh, I see Baltimore. Yeah.
See it?
Yeah,
and
Okay.
it's
Oh,
giant.
But then it's
'cause-
down
'cause-
further if you do
Yeah.
Park and
Well, there might
University.
be more, but this one's huge. I know
Mhm.
because
that's,
my
yeah.
former mechanic used to have a shop there, and they tore it all down and put up this apartment building. So
It's only 4 stories tall.
is that all? It looks big when you drive by it.
Well,
That's
it's
because
long.
everything else is one
So
Yeah,
story.
it's
small.
a
Yeah,
block or more.
exactly.
It's-
Low profile. But
Yeah.
it's nice and neat. It doesn't seem obtrusive to me.
No, it
Um,
doesn't.
And it's on a main street.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Exactly. And that's
No, look, yeah.
that's what I don't mind so much, right?
Yeah.
It's keeping your single family, multi-use
Yeah.
family
No,
homes.
La Mesa's done a
intact.
really good job with building
Yeah.
and keeping the place looking
Yeah.
habitable. No, in fact, looking at the map you have up here right now, you can see like Rolando is going to get a lot of development, like where the post office is probably, and Boulevard 63 and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Where I am in El Cerrito, which is just west of that, you can see it is in fact the thinnest band of development. So that makes some sense to me because there's canyons right just south of that. It's really hard to build. It's not flat like Rolando. I would still say though that more of the development should be along University, particularly, you know, in
There's a
Rolando
huge
Park and
opportunity to develop University
Yeah.
with, on both sides, north
Yeah.
and south.
there
Yeah.
isn't or is.
I
Yeah.
don't understand why it's not darker
Yeah.
all along University, right?
Exactly.
Especially
Exactly.
at, the Choice, at Choice Parkway.
Mhm.
That whole area is a huge hub where 54th comes down and meets University,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, though, I mean, there's going to be a hub there, built by PANA.
Right.
So that's going to be 150 apartments right there, butting up to the Choice
Mhm.
Triangle Park. And across the street from that is going to be a gigantic storage area.
Which is too bad.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Such a
Building how build a storage facility.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later because I see that City Heights is effectively got the land use code changed this past year to not have any new storage facilities. And so Eastern area, we should be talking about submitting our own requests to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you not going to have them east of, if you're not going to have them in City Heights, we shouldn't have them east of City Heights either. So
Storage facilities should go on wasteland underneath freeways where the birds poop on them.
Yeah.
yeah,
There's enough of them. There's enough of them. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Why do we
You
need
don't-
more? Right.
Yeah.
And if we're trying to densify University Avenue, because there's so much potential there to add density, which is fine. It's a transit corridor. We should be adding
Yes.
services density.
Mhm.
Then we don't need a storage unit. Storage facility is just going to take up wasted space that actually could have been
Right.
an apartment building,
Right.
you know, or condos, something that
Mhm.
would fill in the density that we want to see on University.
Right.
So when I look at the pluses here, because this plan for us, concept 5 provides the best opportunities to actually see that happen,
Mhm.
where we would see more jobs, more housing. The trade-off being it is going to be the highest overall density. So we should be asking Alex, what does that look like? And it
Mhm.
also provides limited opportunities for multifamily housing because that's not going to happen in single-family neighborhoods.
Mhm.
And it will not make any changes around schools.
Well,
Right.
don't say it's not going to happen in single family neighborhoods. The bonus ADUs still happen in single family neighborhoods.
That's true.
Don't don't let them make you forget that.
Yeah, thanks, David.
Mhm.
Did you say it doesn't make changes around schools? What do you mean?
Um,
I mean, the schools are on major,
y-
you know, there's, well, the schools are where they are, I guess. They're,
yeah. And it's not, I don't see that San Diego Unified is going to be really adding more schools in the mid-city area since we've, you know, enrollment has
Right.
declined
Right.
Right.
over the last 20 years. So
Yeah, I mean, to me, concept 5 is just completely separate from the other 4 because it's the only one that makes
Yep.
sense and is actually what I think we should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question. So we're being presented these draft ideas, but when it comes time to actually deciding, how does that part work? I mean, do we get a say in that? Or they're just gathering opinions and then somebody at the city's going to decide? Or how does that work? Do we know?
well, I mean, this is Alex's show. He is going around to the different planning groups and presenting this and gathering input because he was at Kensington last week, right?
Yes.
Right.
He'll be at Normal
Yes.
Heights. He'll be at City Heights. He'll be here in October. So I don't know because he hasn't said what kind of, he
Oh,
just said they're going
okay.
to be doing more engagement this fall, and it's very vague, like, well, what are you doing? Where are you going? What does that look like? Who knows?
I mean,
So
I have
that's
a,
why I think it's important at the meeting, if the group is
Mhm.
unified or the consensus is that 5 is the best plan for the eastern area, that information be conveyed to Alex at the meeting so that he does get that from this group. I
Yeah.
I don't know from the working group if he's going to get that.
Mhm.
Okay, so let me ask Sonia and Emily. How do you guys feel? Like from everything you've seen tonight, what are your thoughts on the
Concept
town?
5, for me, concept 5, right? Due to what I mentioned, it seems more logical looking at an example, or seems like an example of that in La Mesa.
Yeah.
I think it's,
Mhm.
I mean, to put it near public transportation in that sense,
Mhm.
to be less intrusive, because we do know that a lot of people do not use it and may have a lot more vehicles. It's less intrusive. If you stay on the corridor, maybe people would be more encouraged to use public transportation versus have a vehicle, compared to when you're within a neighborhood, and using all the side streets
Mhm.
to I think it's more encouraging to use that public transportation, to your point, being closer to it, even closer to it than where they're speaking.
Mhm. Emily, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. When I had initially looked at those and I didn't quite understand the colors, right? I thought that maybe it meant rezoning in such a way to underzone those light yellows, but if what it really means is upzoning everything with those colors, then no, I think we want to protect our the neighborhoods of Eastern area, right? And to do that, we need to create more density at those more urban hubs and create a true, you know, walkable downtown type areas with the Main Street type density.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I that's exactly how I feel, with the added idea that I want our neighborhoods to keep the character that they have, you know, and I mean, yes, I'm thinking of Redwood Village, although we don't really have much character, but I'm thinking of other neighborhoods like Kensington, Talmadge, you know, Rolando Village, Rolando Park, because that's what gives our city personality and interest and history and a certain feeling when you go into those neighborhoods. And the idea of that just being gone and it's all just buildings, I think is very short-sighted. And I know that mostly young people were involved in the opinion giving, because you can see by the little chart that he provided. But you know,
To your point, Katina, I think, you know, all of our little neighborhoods have a particular character. And if
Mhm.
you start to build these buildings, even if you don't feel like it has the character you want, you can never get there, right?
Yeah.
They completely eliminate the opportunity to create character in your neighborhood once those go up, because they're not going anywhere after they go.
create it or take away what already, I mean,
Yeah.
now take away what already is there.
Yeah.
You know, those places were built with blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of those homes, a lot of the homes are generational. I mean, even here in Redwood Village, lots of generational homes. You know, people have fixed up their homes, but yet, you know, it all blends in. But so, and also, I feel that that's the best way, like Emily said, to create a real, you know, those little downtown feelings, you know, where you've got all the businesses right there along the main avenues. And you know, gosh, maybe we could like have dinner and then take a walk in the evening instead of locking the doors and being scared.
Another powerful another powerful argument for concept 5 is that it involves the least amount of displacement, because you're essentially building on greenfield lots in the terms of there's no housing there, just
Exactly.
businesses and parking lots.
I can promise you, we're not building on greenfield lots, because as
It's a
Portland John,
brownfield.
I have been looking for a property in that area, and they
I
don't
meant
exist.
greenfield strictly in the sense of there was no housing there previously.
It is all something. But
David,
Yeah.
do you, but for me, that's a strong argument for the working group too, for the City Heights people, is that 5 represents the least amount of displacement, because that is a very strong point for them that have expressed in the meeting. So
The woman who
it's
sat
not,
up across from
going to
me.
push you and me out of our neighborhoods.
Mhm.
Exactly. Exactly.
And David, do you recall, because Alex made a comment at the very end that has been haunting me. I found it so disturbing. And he said to the audience, well, I mean, at the end, you know, none of this is really going to matter, because it's going to be like 20 years from now. Most of you won't even be here.
Okay, I missed that comment.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's what he said, because, you know, he looks around, he sees gray hair, and he says, well, you guys aren't even going to be alive, so what do you care? I mean, that was
Well-
basically the conclusion he came to at the end
Well,
of the
Sonia
meeting.
and Emily don't have gray hair.
Oh,
So
they don't.
We'll absolutely be here in 20 years.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
well, my
the response to that could be something, well, Alex, you may not be here in 5 years. So, I mean,
That's a
it's
good
even,
point,
it's even
yeah.
worse, right?
Exactly.
I mean, so,
Yeah, and I mean, so to me, the reason why that bothered me so much is because it was so unbelievably dismissive,
yes.
and I was just like, you got to be kidding me! Like, we're the ones that have been, continuing what our parents and the people before us built on, and trying to preserve and trying to, make better for the future. And you're telling us we're just going to be dead anyway? I mean,
Yeah.
what does it matter? I
Yeah.
was really,
You
but
can't
anyway.
afford, just remind him you can't afford to move anywhere else, so you're gonna die in your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, to that point, to use his point, so should I care about the climate? I don't care. The kids
Yeah.
can deal with it when I'm gone. Our climate, they can figure
Right.
it out. I mean, come on, that's not a logical,
That's
comment.
what he said. That's what he
Yeah.
said. And
Logic.
again, it's just like, it's been ringing. I was like, wow, that was just horrible. To everybody, I mean, he just dismissed that whole room basically,
Yeah.
except for 5 people.
Tear down all the historical monuments, right? Because we don't need them.
Yeah.
What do we in the
I
future?
just,
It's a stupid comment. Sorry. It just kind of annoyed me. That comment annoys me.
no, like I said, it kind of, it's like etched into my brain, and I can't scrub it out because it was just so. Anyway,
I mean,
okay,
even if I
so
can't, I was just gonna say, even if I can't afford to live in Kensington, I do enjoy walking around it from time to time.
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
Just like I would enjoy the beach. I can't afford to live at the beach either.
right.
exactly.
Don't care what
No,
happens.
that's
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Talmadge, Kensington, there's, Normal Heights, such great neighborhoods. And I love to go visit them. I like to go do business there because there's a certain feeling, and, you can just enjoy the atmosphere. And so, to lose all, I mean, I know young people like that too. They like that too. So anyway, okay, so here's well, first of all, do we have any more questions or concerns or anything about, let's say, concept 5?
No.
Yeah, okay, so how do I, since we have a whole board, preferably, again, each person gets to make their own decision, but how can we as a group say, we support concept 5 or we prefer concept 5, give our reasons, ask our questions and all of that, without knowing what the other board members, since they're not here, feel about that? Or
Well, you
do
as
we
a
just get to-
subcommittee have a right to have an opinion and to form one.
Okay,
right. And we're
Okay.
doing this again tomorrow night anyway, remember? Because
Yes.
we're repeating this meeting tomorrow night for the people who couldn't make it tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do you
so
maybe just want to send a meeting later in the week and say to the board and say, hey, the subcommittees came to this conclusion,
Mhm.
agree or don't agree, but here's.
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
And I really, Lynn, the questions you prepared and the comments are excellent. And so I would like us, so the way that David organized their meeting is each person on the board got to ask a question or make a comment based on a specific idea, concept, not necessarily these concept, but ideas throughout this whole draft.
I actually just
plan.
gave them a set amount of time.
Oh, okay. And they each just came up with their own.
Yeah.
Okay, it was very good comments and questions. I was impressed.
We have some smart people on our board.
Yeah, you do. Well, we do too. We just need to get them out of their shyness. There's a little bit of shyness there. We have a lot of new members, and so that's, when you're new, I know because I'm new, but I'm just like, okay, I don't care if I sound stupid. I just got to dive right in. I mean, sometimes you just have to do that, sink or swim. But yeah, so I would like us to do the same thing where each board member can present an opinion or an idea or a question. I would like us to use the questions that Lynn so graciously gave us and any other questions that we might come up with, like defining what a climate smart village is.
Yeah,
So
I'll be
so
waiting
I
on
would
you to
like-
make that one, Emily.
So I would like the board, I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to have the board go first. And I do have an expectation that, each one person will say something. So I'll have to talk to the others and just, shake them up a little bit. But we just have to figure out, how do we get all these questions in when there may be people in the general audience that, will want to ask questions too.
First of all, lay it out front about how you're going to organize it, that the people in the audience will get a chance to speak, but you are this time going to the board first.
Yes, because we usually let them go first. So I have to do that because this is, this is a little different than the other presentations. What else? I think that was basically it. Was just how do we, I think I'll just go ahead and split up some of these questions for all of us, if that's okay with the two of you, and I'll ask tomorrow night as well, so that we can touch on some of these things. Like, question 8, page 133, please explain what is meant by refined college triangle master plan.
Joyous triangle.
Yeah, Troy's triangle master plan. What is that? What does that mean? I mean, we already have something signed for that. What do you mean by that? Etc. So if you have a chance to look at these questions, they're really, really good.
Did you send those out, Lynn?
I'm sorry, and where are those? That's what I was going to ask.
No, you're right. We don't. We
Okay.
didn't. Can I share those,
Oh, okay.
Lynn?
Yeah, or you might want to wait until after
Hold on.
tomorrow night
Okay.
too,
Yes,
and
wait
then
until
send them out.
Okay.
Once we have tomorrow's meeting, then yeah.
And again,
Yes,
any that anyone doesn't want to do is perfectly fine, because if they're not covered at the meeting, I'll be submitting them to for comments to Alex, because I have a long list of comments in general, not questions, like an
Okay.
aquatic center at Sunshine Berardini.
And there is a part of me that kind of wants to address that comment he made to you all about, you won't be here in 30 years, but maybe I shouldn't.
Well, part of it for me is his own demographics don't support that. I mean, about 20% of Mid-City is 60 or older. So he's basically decided to dismiss 20% of people in the Mid-City because you're over the age of 60.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 40 to 43% are under the age of 30. And these are the people that he's did most of his engagement with, thinking that they will be the ones who will be here 20 years from now. And that's simply not true. In many cases, adults migrate away from
I was
home.
going to say,
anyway.
leaving San Diego, there's a lot of that migrating away from it.
So
Absolutely.
Especially when
Yeah.
their parents aren't moving.
Exactly.
because-
They have, yeah.
yeah, parents aren't moving. And so to dismiss it is to dismiss the idea that we don't need to talk about things like senior resources, senior facilities, senior housing,
Right.
because, oh, well, you're not going to be here anyway. And
Yeah.
those are resources that we are going to need because people aren't moving away and the cost of living is just going to be too high.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I'll get
Yeah.
off my horse now, but that really makes me.
Yeah, no, like I said, it was, to me, it just almost like, why do I even have to do this? A bunch of old people saying, you guys aren't even going to be here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
guess what? We're the ones with our feet on the ground, still
Mhm.
marching and still insisting and hanging
Right.
on by hair at the moment.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could also say
Government
that,
shutdown.
our longevity might surprise you too,
I was gonna say, he
You
doesn't
piss
know.
me off enough, I'm gonna hang around for a long
Right,
time.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna live to 200 just to spite Alex
Yeah,
Frost.
Yeah,
We get that cholesterol under control.
exactly.
Hey,
Anyways,
I was wondering, although this particular discussion's around land use, was there any talk about park deficiency in the mid city? Was that part of the discussion so far?
It's been
oh
part of
yeah,
other discussions. We didn't
Okay,
discuss it at our meeting very much.
okay.
If you keep going in the document, it goes into some very like specific little areas.
Mhm.
Kind of those transit corridors or the high density urban village areas that they highlighted and kind of the grand like idea of them, which I think is nice, but there's really no, I don't know what the mechanism is for the city to say, okay, we're going to put streets through this private property. I mean,
Well, I
Yeah.
was looking at those freeway decks that they were going to do more of. At least that's one concept. And I was thinking,
oh God,
they don't have the money to do that. I think that's just
that,
a way of promising something they can't deliver.
Mhm.
right.
And
Yeah.
I did see that too in a lot of the planned or the proposed projects for the eastern area, that I just look at it and go, no, that's not going to
It's
happen.
never going to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it just sounds good on paper, and those are the kinds of comments I would make in the meeting or to Alex directly, is that there isn't going to be an aquatic complex at Sunshine Berardini. It's just not going to happen. And you're not going to have a trail from housing at the College Grove Housing Hub to Choyas Lake, because
Yeah.
that's open space on a landfill.
Right. Yeah.
There's just, I will note that Alex was the project manager for the Mira Mesa Community Plan Update, which included trams running through Mira Mesa. So when I hear some of this, or like creating new streets south of
It's very,
University, and you go, well, wait a minute, that's a stormwater drain channel there, and it
Right.
butts up to a wall, a 400-foot wall. I just don't think you're going to be able to put a new street in there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it falls on a developer to do it, a developer's just not going to develop that if they are responsible for putting in new streets there.
Right.
You did
well,
say,
not just that. I mean, you go to like the El Cajon and College Avenue, that Vaughn's shopping center, and they're saying, oh, we're gonna divide it into blocks and put high rise.
What?
Oh yeah.
yes, yeah,
What? Yeah.
with the
What?
parklet on the corner.
It'll have paseos
Yeah.
through it, and like, is the city buying this land? And
Yeah.
it's
Well, I think the way that they would do that is they would allow the developer who owns it to rebuild it in a massively dense way. And in return, they would require the paseo and the parklet. But you're still dependent on the developer deciding to do.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
Which is why I'm confident we're not going to see any new streets 1 block south of University.
Right.
Right.
So, well,
all right.
I think we could wrap
Yeah,
that up.
you can always
tonight.
come back again tomorrow evening for the same discussion with a few different faces, if you're so inclined. But otherwise, I will adjourn the meeting. And thank you so much, everyone, especially Alex and David, for joining and giving us your perspective. It's nice to have, some outside perspective as well. And Emily, Sonia, thank you for participating. And Lynn, as always, we couldn't do it
Thank
without you.
Right.
Thanks.
Lynn, could I talk to you for a minute at the end?
Absolutely.
And anyone who wants to stay can stay, but I just want to talk to Lynn.
Okay.
Um,